This is ABC7 News at 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
Once they drive it a couple of times, I think most of their fears are gone. But some of them, they avoid roundabouts altogether. No matter what you do and how many times they drive it, they just don't like to drive them.
Sarasota intersections are going round. Roundabouts, that is. If you're not a fan of them, we have got bad news. More are on the way. Why they're gaining popularity right here on the Suncoast. Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohen, and welcome to ABC7 at 7. We'll have more on increasing use of roundabouts coming up, but first, our top 7 stories at 7. And we begin tonight with the one and only gun law to make it through the legislative session this year and signed into law by Governor Rick Scott. The new improved Stand Your Ground law makes it tougher for prosecutors to go after those who use it as their defense. The burden of proof is now on prosecutors instead of the defense. Prosecutors will now have to prove the defendant was not acting in self-defense. If prosecutors don't have clear evidence ruling out self-defense, the defendant could avoid trial altogether. While some worry it will increase the use of the Stand Your Ground defense, others say it won't have any effect.
But I think average citizen ought to be a little bit concerned that we have somewhat getting back to that Wild Wild West mentality where somebody looks at you wrong, you pull your gun out.
It's not going to increase the number of people that are carrying. It's going to make people think before they use it. It's not going to be like the Wild Wild West where you're going to go out and just take the gun out and use it.
Florida is the first state in the nation to shift the burden of proof. Only 4 of the other 21 states with Stand Your Ground laws even mention proof, and all 4 place it on the defendants. For 6 years, Florida lawmakers have tried to stop doctors from asking patients about guns, but now healthcare providers have won the legal battle over docs versus Glocks. The deadline has now passed for the state to appeal a federal court ruling striking down the law. Doctors argue the measure violated their First Amendment rights. However, doctors and insurers are still banned from discriminating against gun owners. New developments in the case of former Sarasota County Sheriff's Deputy Frank Bybee. He is accused of attempting to murder an elderly woman along with 25 other charges. Today, the judge heard several motions, including an argument to drop one of those charges. No decision was made. A follow-up hearing is scheduled for July. The Manatee County Sheriff's Office now has a new tool in the fight against opioids. Canine units will now be equipped with Narcan units. Narcan is used to counter drug overdoses. A local family purchased 8 of them at a cost of $134 each. The DeSoto Animal Clinic is also training deputies on how to administer them. The sheriff's office says none of their dogs has become sick from opioid exposure, but they're now better prepared should the situation arise. The retail district along University Parkway continues to grow with 6 new businesses coming into the area. A new shopping center called University Station is being built on the corner of University Parkway and Honore. A Whole Foods grocery store will anchor the space. 4 other yet to be named businesses will go up adjacent to it. Crews are also breaking ground on the new Wawa convenience store. The projects are expected to be completed by August of next year. The location drew controversy after county commissioners approved the removal of wetlands in exchange for preserving 40 acres in Manatee's Rye Preserve. Siesta Key Beach was recently named the #1 beach in the country for the 2nd time. As it comes, the real estate market is booming. Right now, only 340 homes are available, a record low. It is taking an average of 60 days to sell them. The value of those homes has also been going up on an average of 10% annually for the past 3 years. With vacant land in short supply, some wealthy buyers are taking a different approach.
People are buying the homes to tear down the house and build a new house on the vacant lot. We're starting to see a lot of new construction on Siesta Key, again, especially in the lower priced older homes on the water.
The number of total sales per year is also above average. About 80 homes are being sold every month. That compares to about 68 last year. Those are snook. Today, Mote Marine scientists are releasing nearly 500 of them into Philippi Creek. It's part of an ongoing research project to better understand what environments the fish thrive in. They'll be tracked with tags to see how they're affected by red tide and cold snaps. Recently, Populations have been on the decline. Experts say snook are essential to Florida's saltwater fishing economy, which brings more than $8 billion of economic impact to the state annually. And Bob, I know you're really interested in fishing, and those fish in particular.
Yeah, snook, a great catch. You know, a lot of fun. Right now, out of season, so you can't keep them in the slot for snook when they are in season. It's very narrow, so we want to increase the population. Obviously, if you do catch one, handle them very carefully and release them as quickly as possible back into the water. And we are looking at tough fishing and boating conditions lately in the afternoon and evening, Alan, as a result of a line of storms that developed and pushed off toward the west. You can see still some light to moderate rainfall occurring along the coastal locations. Heavier rain in Punta Gorda, Port Charlotte, Northport. It's not all that intense right now, and you'll notice we don't see a lot of lightning strikes occurring any longer. That means that the storms are not all that strong. There could still be a few stray lightning strikes, but for the most part, we're getting light rainfall. Anna Maria Island, Palmetto, Bradenton, on down toward Lakewood Ranch. You can see not nearly as intense as it was about an hour ago. And Inglewood, some light rainfall. Northport, they've had the bulk of the precipitation. That's kind of where the two East Coast and West Coast breezes met and where the storms really fired up. You got to look at those rainfall totals just today, this afternoon, really in the last few hours. 3.2 inches near Northport and 2.1 near Port Charlotte, just to the east of Inglewood. Inglewood hardly getting much at all. And then Lakewood Ranch, 4/10 near the airport, over an inch. That inch of rain at the airport, by the way, puts us over the top for the year in terms of the average rainfall. So we were at a deficit up to nearly a foot. That has all been erased with our recent rains. Well, we have a system that we're going to be watching over the next actually 5 days. It's expected to develop in the Western Caribbean off the Yucatan Peninsula near Belize. So we'll watch it right now. That chance is only at 20% of developing. If it were to develop, it would move northwestward more than likely away from Florida. So we'll keep an eye on that for you, and we'll let you know about the rest of the week's weather.
We want to give some shout outs.
Okay.
State College of Florida, their pitcher was picked by in the major leagues in the first round. Brendan Little was taken 27th pick overall. He was a sophomore, and he was a transfer. He is going to the world champion Chicago Cubs.
Cubs, you gotta love it. Going to the Cubs. Good pitcher right here.
Dave, our director, is applauding over there.
Congratulations, by the way. Yes.
All right. Still to come, the learning curve of roundabouts. They're becoming more common on the Suncoast, but not everyone is a fan of them. We'll break down the basics of driving one and how they could help you keep safer on the roads. The details when we return.
ABC7 My Suncoast News. We're here for you. Watch My Suncoast News wherever you are. On our live stream, on our newly redesigned MySuncoast.com, and a brand new ABC7 My Suncoast app, powered by the Eye Associates, providing sight for life, featuring traffic maps and live radar, and dining with recipes in all the hottest Suncoast restaurants. Visit MySuncoast.com and click on the mobile tab to download the ABC7 My Suncoast app for iOS and Android.
Is your mop a dirty, disgusting mess? You need the Hurricane 360 Spin Mop System, the only mop and bucket that spins the dirt away. A system that cleans practically anything and everything with super absorbent microfiber. Dip it in the washer side and the mess releases into the bucket. Then place it in the dryer side and push on the pedal. You get a clean mop pad that's practically dry and ready for more. And your hands will never again touch a dirty, disgusting mop. The heads are washable and reusable. Get the Hurricane 360 Spin Mop System for just 2 payments of $19.99. You'll also get a Sticky Buddy, the reusable sticky roller that picks up pet hair and lint and washes clean in seconds. You can take advantage of our 2-for-1 Pick It Up special and get a second spin mop set. Just pay additional shipping and fee. And we'll upgrade you to free priority handling. So don't wait. Order now.
Call 1-800-394-1524 to get your Hurricane Spin Mop double offer. So hurry and call 1-800-394-1524. Call now.
ABC7 News at 7, weeknights.
This is an important medical announcement. Barred IVC filters have been linked to punctured veins and problems with migration. Anyone who's received a barred IVC filter must receive medical monitoring and may be entitled to substantial compensation. If you have the Barred Recovery G2 or G2 Express filter, you are in a class of patients who should be compensated for some expenses. Call now for a free assessment of your case and potential money damages. This call is confidential. There's no cost and you may be eligible. Juries have awarded millions of dollars to people who should have been warned about the risks of the Bard IVC filters. Call the IVC filter hotline if you or a loved one has received an IVC filter and experienced a vein puncture or required medical monitoring. You must call now.
Call 800-329-3089. 800-329-3089.
We love our roundabouts, don't we? They might drive a lot of us crazy, but safety experts think they're just great. And now we're going to get even more of them in Sarasota. Dwayne Lindo is here with more. Dwayne.
Well, Alan, you're right. Some of us love our roundabouts, but some of us love to hate them. But the Florida Department of Transportation says there's no way around it. These roundabouts are here to stay.
If you've traveled through any of Sarasota County roads throughout the past couple years, you have no doubt had to negotiate one of these. Right now, there are 5 roundabouts in the city and many others scattered around county roadways. However, for some, it takes some getting used to.
It might be confusing to people, might jam things up, but overall, I think they work.
Increasingly, planners feel the same way. Many favor roundabouts for the way the design makes for enhanced traffic flow and capacity. And according to Sarasota City Engineer Alex Davis Shaw, you're going to see a lot more of these in the future.
So we have one proposed to start later this summer, early fall, and that's at Ringley and Orange, and it'll be similar in size and feel to the one at Main and Orange, a single-lane roundabout. And then we're working with the department to begin the construction of the multi-lane roundabouts. The first 2 will be at 10th and 41 and at 14th and 41.
For Sarasota County Traffic Engineer Robert Fackery, accidents and, more importantly, injuries are less severe.
You would avoid severe crashes, somebody running a red light and they T-bone into another car, so you don't have that situation.
Going on to say, numbers even show that roundabouts are safer than traditional intersections all over the country.
There's 90% reduction in fatalities and 75% reduction in injuries, 40% reduction in incidents with pedestrians and cyclists.
Even saving taxpayers money in the long run.
In a signalized intersection, you have to maintain the lights, the cabinets, the electricity, the paint, or if not painted. So all that factored in will add up throughout the years.
Once it's constructed, it operates with no cost unless you choose to enhance it with lighting or other features.
But while county and city officials are raving about roundabouts, some say it will do exactly the opposite.
FDOT has a theory that if you slow down traffic, traffic will flow. This will not happen here.
Chairman of Sarasota's Public Art Committee, Norm Schimmel, says not only will traffic not flow, it will affect tourism as well.
In addition to the cultural arts, in addition to the weather, in addition to the best beaches in the world, we also have a tremendous infrastructure problem which could cost us our tourism revenue.
Even worse, causing confusion for drivers.
We also have the second oldest age in all of Florida as far as drivers are concerned here. They know nothing about how to get around, who has the right of way, or anything in a roundabout.
But experts say for the motorists opposed to driving around one, it just helps if you get familiar with it.
Once they drive it a couple of times, I think most of their fears are gone. They know how to maneuver them and circulate them, and that's a good thing.
Now, while collisions do occur in roundabouts, engineers say it's because drivers are not yielding to all lanes or traffic.
Tell me about it. Thanks a lot, Dwayne. Coming up, we are going to talk circles on the trapezoid.
I dream of the creature by night and by day. Wielding my weapon, I slaughter my prey. 2,000 cash, I'll be rolling in dough. So hey, a big monster, come out from below. So hey, a big monster, come out from below.
The Furniture Warehouse. Save big during the summer leather clearance and pay no interest till June 2018 with same-day pickup or next-day delivery. This special purchase deep-seating leather match sofa now $5.99. It's like floating on a cloud with this leather match sofa at $6.99. Or put your feet up in style with comfort in this dual reclining leather match sofa only $7.99. Exclusively at the Furniture Warehouse in Sarasota, Bradenton, Venice, Port Charlotte, and Ellenton.
And save big.
Credit card debt can ruin your life. If you owe $10,000 and minimum payments are siphoning away your paycheck each month, you can get debt-free in less time than you think.
I've paid $800 a month for the past 3 years and haven't changed the balance on my credit card.
Get Debt-Free Now has a program to reduce your debt, stop the harassing phone calls, avoid financial ruin, and settle for less than you owe.
I feel like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders.
You're pre-approved for our special hardship program if you owe $10,000 or more. Upon payment of your new lower balance, your debt will finally shrink until you are debt-free.
My family no longer has 30 years of payments ahead of us at 20% interest.
There's no fees until you see results. So call now, make one monthly program payment, and free up your cash. Resolve your debt.
Call 800-628-1251, 800-628-1251.
They're coming from Tampa, Fort Myers, even Orlando. They're coming from everywhere for the Sarasota Ford Promise. We promise we're more than a dealership. We're a destination with a movie theater, massage room, aquarium, cafe, and more. We promise to give you top dollar for your trade, even if you don't buy from us. And if you do, we promise you the best deal. Bring us any competitor's ad and we'll beat it by at least $1,000. That's why they're coming from everywhere to Sarasota Ford, where 41 meets 301. SarasotaFord.com.
Welcome back. We're going to be talking in circles tonight, otherwise known as on the Suncoast as roundabouts. Those circular interchanges becoming increasingly common around Sarasota and the Suncoast. 2 new ones are about to go into place on US 41 on 10th and 14th Streets. According to the Federal Highway Administration, roundabouts are designed to improve safety and, quote, substantially reduce the types of crashes that result in injury or loss of life, which is curious to those who observe all too many drivers just blasting through roundabouts, seemingly unaware of the do's and the don'ts. Joining us for more on the use of roundabouts is Dave Hutchinson, Executive Director of the Sarasota-Manatee Metropolitan Planning Organization, and Norm Schimmel, Chairman of Sarasota's Public Arts Committee. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. Pleasure. Dave, I'm curious how, I read the federal studies. I believe the experts, but I know what I see when I'm on the roads, and I know that if you just sit there and watch, so many people just don't know what to do when they get to the roundabout.
Well, what they should do is slow down, choose a lane based on where they're planning to exit their roundabout, and then yield to traffic that's already in the roundabout. Don't pass in the roundabout, be alert for pedestrians and bicyclists, and allow any emergency vehicles to pass, and never stop inside the roundabout.
I know there's 2 different things. Either people just blast through the roundabouts because it just appears like they don't care, or just they don't know the rules that you just talked about.
I think you're right, and one of the issues we have is people just need to slow down. It's not going to take that much longer. In fact, roundabouts actually handle more traffic throughput than a normal intersection with a signal.
And what about accidents? Are they measured both in the city and the county and nationally?
They are.
And it is, according to the stats, it does reduce accidents?
The Insurance Institute loves roundabouts, or at least agrees that they reduce fatalities. In some cases, as we experienced with Jacaranda roundabout here, accidents actually did increase, although they were not high-speed accidents. And now with some changes to the design of that roundabout, we expect to see the number of crashes reduced at that location.
You know, Norm, we're from New York. We like our grids. And I know you're not a fan of roundabouts, but is it because you don't believe the stats, or it almost seems like it's counterintuitive?
Well, firstly, the Jacaranda is a circle. There's a difference between circles and roundabouts. And Jacaranda is a circle which had some terrible flaws in it and went from like 69 accidents to 93 to 123 in 1 year. Roundabouts are fine for urban inner circle cities. They're wonderful. You put art on top of them. It's for people who are driving at a very slow pace, and they can go like on Main Street that we have here. But where you have to move traffic, where you have your main arteries, the Fruitvilles, the 41s, where roundabouts slow you down, we need to speed up. We're right now back to back and bumper to bumper in season, and the worst thing in the whole world is word of mouth talk, and tourism is our number one business here, and it's going to affect our tourism.
Dave, what about that?
Well, I think that it is counterintuitive that by slowing down traffic, you can actually increase your capacity of a roadway. So that while it's counterintuitive, they've done studies and they've done analysis. The Mythbusters even did a series on it, or a segment.
And Norm, you're on the Public Arts Committee, and we have that incredible art that is, in the middle of these roundabouts in Sarasota. But when that was first put in, I thought to myself, geez, I mean, that's what we need, more distraction while people are trying to figure out what to do.
And I agree with you 100%. I don't see the problem with the public art on the roundabouts in the inner city. I really don't see that. But although you do have your elderly drivers, and by the way, of the top 10 cities with the average elderly driver, Longboat Key being number 4, we have 4 in our county with Venice and Sarasota, and it's horrible.
We have a less than a minute left, but Dave, I wanted to ask you, we got a very nice email before the broadcast from Lauren Driggs, who asked, is there any specific studies in terms of elderly driving in Sarasota and accidents in roundabouts?
Well, we know that about 30% of our accidents do involve elderly drivers, but as far as them being more prone to accidents in roundabouts, I don't believe that's true, although that hasn't necessarily been studied. The AARP does endorse roundabouts and believes that they are safer for elderly drivers.
Okay, we are just getting started with our discussion, and we will circle right back to it right after we check on the weather.
This is an important medical announcement. Xarelto and Pradaxa have been linked to uncontrollable bleeding and even death. If you've been prescribed one of these drugs and have experienced these dangerous side effects, you may be entitled to substantial compensation. Studies show that Pradaxa can cause more heart attacks than warfarin, and other countries have already issued safety warnings against this drug. Call now for a free assessment of your case and potential money damages. The call is confidential, there's no cost, and you may be eligible. Juries have awarded millions of dollars to Pradaxa victims, and thousands of Xarelto victims are filing their legal cases. Call the Drug Watch hotline if you or a loved one used Xarelto or Pradaxa and experienced uncontrollable bleeding, brain hemorrhage, or even death. You must call now.
Call 800-793-6055. 800-793-6055.
If you are age 85 or younger, a final expense policy for seniors can pay up to $30,000 for funeral and other final expenses. You don't need a medical exam, and you can have lifetime coverage. Your premiums won't increase, your benefits won't decrease, and the policy cannot be canceled. To receive free information about final expense plans from a licensed agent in the Angel Care Network, call now.
Call 800-676-1339.
You love your couch and want to protect it from spills, food, and scratching, shedding pets. Introducing Couch Coat, the reversible, washable quilted cover that protects your couch. Shield against spills, wow, stop stains, and dirty pet paws and sharp claws. Plus, it's reversible with 2 stylish colors. Guaranteed to fit any couch up to 92 inches or your money back. It even has covers to protect armrests. Machine washable too.
My grandkids destroy everything, but with Couch Coat, my couch is always protected, looking as good as it did the day I bought it.
Get your Couch Coat for just $19.99, and it's reversible in brown and cream, like 2 couch coats for the price of 1. Order right now, and you can double your offer. Get a second Couch Coat. Just pay a separate fee. Order right now.
Call 1-800-943-0710 to get your couch coat. Call now or go to couchcoat.com. So call 1-800-943-0710. That's 1-800-943-0710. Call now.
Our discussion of roundabouts continues in a moment, but right now let's get the check on our forecast from Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Well, last week it was a tropical system, a remnant low from the Pacific that blew in and caused all sorts of rainfall. And now we're getting the southeasterly component meeting the west coast sea breeze, which is typical with our afternoon and evening thunderstorm pattern. And yes, it actually produces a dangerous aspect, and that's lightning We are known as lightning capital of North America, right here, anywhere from Fort Myers up to Lakeland over to Tampa, that whole area right there. So be careful. There's going to be a lot of this going on over the upcoming 7 days, and for that matter, several months. We'll get breaks now and again, but showers and storms are in the forecast each and every afternoon for the upcoming 7 days. You can see high pressure located to the east of the state now. It's known as the Bermuda High, and it provides us with an east to southeasterly wind component, which kind of runs into that west coast sea breeze that develops every day, and that convergent factor with the warm, moist air coming in this way and from the Atlantic converging right there over west central Florida, causing the tremendous amount of lightning we saw earlier. And still, we have light to moderate precipitation occurring along the coastline, a large swath of rainfall. This will be continuing for the next hour or so, so maybe even longer in places. But Northport has by far, as I showed you earlier, had the heaviest amount of rainfall today, nearing 3 inches just today alone. Now, the rain is lessening over Anna Maria Island and also northwest Bradenton near Palmasola. And down south, Osprey getting a little bit of light rain. Venice all the way down to Inglewood. Inglewood had some heavier rainfall earlier. So we'll keep the light rain to moderate rain in the forecast up until about 9, 10 o'clock. And then cloudy conditions as the showers come to an end. A nice sunset, though, looking out over Sarasota Bay. 74 degrees, still some light rain falling at the Sarasota Bradenton Airport. And the high today was warm. In fact, a couple degrees above average, and so was the low at 75. And the rainfall amount today so far, thus far, 69/100ths of an inch. That puts our yearly total now at 16.15 inches. That's above the average for the year. Again, we're showing a positive as far as that goes, and we're looking for showers and storms tomorrow afternoon. Some of those storms could be heavy at times. Not so much severe in terms of a rough wind, but showers, thunderstorms with some lightning, even some small hail possible with any one of those individual cells as they make their way through. And looks like similar conditions expected on Thursday. So for boaters, not too bad in the morning. Looks to be pretty good, but be careful in the afternoon and evening as those storms work out in the Gulf. A light chop on the bays and inland waters, seas running 1 to 2 feet. And a light chop out there, the water temperature at 84 degrees, UV index at a 7 tomorrow. Low tide upcoming 11:14, sunset at 8:26, and sunrise at 6:35. We always get some great sunsets from Norm, but Norm's on the panel right now, so we're not going to get those tonight. You may get out there, you never know. Mostly cloudy, some strong storms. For the most part, the storms are over. 73 for your low. And then some sunshine in the morning, partly cloudy in the late morning, then mostly cloudy in the afternoon. And the high temperature will be 88 degrees. The extended forecast, well, there it is. Doesn't change much. Just those afternoon and evening thunderstorms. Alan will be right back after this. Stick around.
It's Lincoln's summer sales event here at Alex Karras Lincoln. Drive a brand new 2017 Lincoln MKC Sports Utility for $249 per month or 2017 MKZ for $299 per month. We are proud to introduce the newest addition to the Lincoln lineup, the all-new 2017 Lincoln Continental. We have a great selection and ready for immediate delivery. Alex Karras Lincoln, affordable luxury, winner of the prestigious 2015 President's Award, serving Florida's Suncoast since 1978. We are located 2 miles north of the Sarasota Bradenton Airport on US 41.
The official salon of ABC7. Cutting Loose Salon.
I knew I could get myself out of this. I just needed some hope and some help.
I took the first step to recovery when I made the call.
Since 2014, Addiction Hope and Helpline has answered calls for recovery and treatment 24/7, 365 days a year. If you're depressed, drinking, using drugs, or taking pills, call now and talk to someone who cares.
I had problems just getting to sleep, drinking and using pills every night.
I feel like I'm losing control. I'm afraid I'll lose my job or even my family.
Most insurance covers substance abuse. You can get back on track. Call now for hope and help with proven gentle recovery programs.
I never thought that I could be somebody who didn't drink and use drugs.
I have something to hold on to for strength. I'm in recovery, getting the help I need.
Call 800-622-1941. 800-622-1941.
I heard about the Dotoli Cancer Center through friends of mine who had been treated here and were very pleased with the treatment.
If there is prostate cancer, we at the Dotoli Cancer Center will find it using 3D color flow Doppler ultrasound.
That helped precisely identify where my cancer was and some additional cancers that were not found during the biopsy. I would recommend the Detoli Cancer Center. As a group of human beings, they are unbelievably great.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we are discussing roundabouts and why more of them are being added across the Suncoast. Our guests tonight are Dave Hutchinson of the Sarasota Manatee Metropolitan Planning Organization and Norm Schimmel of the Sarasota Public Arts Committee. And Dave, we talked about 2 that are going in. Are there more of that outside of Sarasota around the Suncoast?
There are. We have a list in downtown Sarasota of numerous roundabouts eventually either on a priority list or with some phase of a study underway or funded in the future. Myrtle Street at US 41, Martin Luther King Way at US 41, Fruitville Road and Gulfstream at US 41, Ringling at 41, Main Street at 41, so we will see more roundabouts.
And you're saying that this is a trend across the country?
It is. It is.
On the other hand, Norm, you're saying, because I mentioned up in New England where my wife is from, there were very large-scale roundabouts up there, and of course from our beloved New York City, Columbus Circle. But you're saying
they're being removed in certain parts of New England. They're being removed. They're being removed in upstate New York. The circles, which are very different than roundabouts, are being removed in parts of Jersey too. I want to make a couple of points here. There are 6 roundabouts right now in the city. I have no problem with roundabouts as an urban inner city piece. Where I have a problem with roundabouts is where we have the arteries that must move in order to make our tourism, in order to make our residents easier to get to work. And roundabouts do not work there. I'm just going to ask you to envision one thing. Envision 1,741 people coming out of the Van Wezel waiting to go around a roundabout. The Players Theater moved out of the city itself. Now, this was not a major reason, it was a minor reason, but had the Players Theater stayed at 9th, that roundabout would have prevented parking across the street for the Players Theater.
Dave, do we take these things into account?
Absolutely, and special events may require some, manual traffic control or helping a parking lot empty, for example. Like churches often hire police officers to direct traffic for that period of time when one leg that doesn't normally have traffic.
But doesn't that defeat the purpose of what you're doing? That's defeating the purpose of what you're doing.
Not if it functions more smoothly most of the time. The city has done a lot of analysis of a road diet on Fruitville Road and replacing a couple of the intersection traffic signals with roundabouts, and found that it would actually not slow down traffic significantly over what is there now.
Let me ask you this. According to the Federal Highway Administration, like any new technology, it is necessary that people understand how roundabouts work and why they are needed. So what is our area? What is the local government doing to educate drivers about the do's and the don'ts?
More and more, and I believe that for Jacaranda, when they put in those improvements, Sarasota County at a public meeting had several stations where people could actually practice, simulating driving through a roundabout. There's the Chamber of Commerce in Sarasota is looking at a education course on how do we train people to drive a roundabout.
Norm?
So out of 365,000 people, how many people, especially elderly people, are going to be going into those courses and doing it? I think it's a dream. What we need on our main structures here is the newest type of computerized, move-structured light system. It's coming into every major city now. We just don't want to pay the money for it, but it is a system based on computer and movement. There's cameras.
Well, have governments done research on that? Is that a more efficient way of moving traffic?
I don't know if it's more efficient, but it's one way of increasing the efficiency of your network, and we are implementing that here in both Sarasota and Manatee counties as well. The Advanced Traffic Management System has its traffic management center in the Manatee Public Safety Building, and from there they can monitor and theoretically adjust on the fly if necessary.
Is that a more expensive way of controlling traffic?
It does require a lot of investment. I mean, first you have to have the facilities, you've got to have actual wires or wireless connections everywhere.
But that's what I'm suggesting for our main and most important arteries. That's exactly what I'm suggesting, so that our tourism, so that our residents can get to work on time. And by the way, if you go to Ringling on the first roundabout in the morning, people coming up 41 North making the right turn to go across Ringling, it's like the Indianapolis 500.
But Norm, obviously there has been a lot of research and study on this, both on the federal, local, and state level, which does indicate the number of accidents and the number of serious accidents are less by using these roundabouts.
Well, how come the accidents went up in Jacaranda? I don't know where they did their research, but it wasn't Sarasota, Florida, and it wasn't Sarasota County, Florida. And it's very, very clear what we have to do to protect our #1 industry and provide our residents the best roadway they can.
Dave, we could look at all the federal research we want to, but has any local studies been done in terms of the roundabouts here and the accidents over the course of time?
Yes, and not so much as specific to roundabouts, but overall accidents. And we do not see the roundabouts showing up in any of the top 10 accident locations, for example. And this is something that the local governments in the MPO track, and we're convinced that it's going to help. And we will need both systems. We'll need the automated as well.
Norm, doesn't it stand to reason that the kinds of accidents that you would have in roundabouts are basically side collisions and not head-on, which is really what the...
Well, no, you can get head-on. If someone is sight impaired on the left side, you can get a head-on very easily within the roundabout itself. But I'm also concerned about emergency vehicles. I'm concerned about 18-wheelers. I'm concerned with boats and trailers, which is horrible. Think about 10th Street with boats and trailers. And then the last thing is, where the crossing route is on our roundabouts, they better put a blinking sign, because our senior citizens do not see people coming across.
All right, Dave, I will give you a chance to respond to that, but we have to take a quick break. When we return, we'll have final thoughts from our guests, plus what some of our viewers are saying about last night's topic, the legal side, the legacy trail.
Outdoor living is one of the greatest perks about living in Florida. So whether this is your style, or this, or maybe this, contact Superior Pools. They've been building pools from Sarasota to Naples since 2001, and they would love to build yours.
This is an important medical announcement. Bard IVC filters have been linked to punctured veins and problems with migration. Anyone who's received a Bard IVC filter must receive medical monitoring and may be entitled to substantial compensation. If you have the Bard Recovery G2 or G2 Express filter, you are in a class of patients who should be compensated for some expenses. Call now for a free assessment of your case and potential money damages. This call is confidential. There's no cost and you may be eligible. Juries have awarded millions of dollars to people who should have been warned about the risks of the Bard IVC filters. Call the IVC Filter Hotline if you or a loved one has received an IVC filter and experienced a vein puncture or required medical monitoring. You must call now.
Call 800-329-3089. 800-329-3089.
If you want 24/7 access to ABC7's breaking news stories, weather forecasts, traffic alerts, health reports, Suncoast View, and more ABC7 programming, now there's good news. Introducing the free ABC7 channel on Amazon Fire TV. Your 24/7 access to ABC7. Just search ABC7 on the streaming device and download the free ABC7 channel app. Or if you don't have an Amazon Fire TV, you can get one at Amazon.com. ABC7, your official Florida lottery station for the Suncoast.
It appears roundabouts are here to stay. In fact, we'll see more of them popping up around the Suncoast. So what should you remember when driving these intersections? Our guests join us right now for final thoughts. And Dave, I want to give you a chance to respond to Norm in terms of really, there are some people who have more problems with roundabouts than others.
Absolutely, and I am glad that there are some roundabouts that Norm likes. I think that's great. And I think that the other roundabouts are successful because they reduce the number of conflict points greatly, and that's mainly why they are safer. But they aren't perfect, and they're not the solution in every location. So I think that's where our traffic experts come in and analyze it.
Is there any way that we can do a better public service education in terms about the do's and don'ts? Because as Norm said, there are a lot of folks who just are not going to come out to a meeting. I would imagine, you know, a TV or ad basically animating these things would be a good start.
On the MPO website, it's mympo.org. There is a link to safety links on the left-hand side, and there are 3 or 4 different animated videos about how to drive a roundabout on the MPO website, and I believe there are some other links.
The problem is that some of the people that we're talking about don't even have computers. Okay, that's the problem.
And I don't know if the tourists from Canada or the other folks who come to the Suncoast during season are going to look on the municipal websites for these videos.
The most, as far as tourism is concerned, if someone goes to Longboat Key and it takes them an hour and a half to get downtown to have dinner, they're going to badmouth us all the way. And a roundabout is not the thing. Can you imagine a roundabout on 41 in Ringling with another roundabout before that on a Gulfstream? Are you kidding? Never going to work.
I guess we're not going to solve this problem tonight.
No, we won't. But the good news is that they did survey tourists last year, and most of them are coming back, so they're not leaving in droves.
Well, you got #1 beach in America, please.
Okay, we're going to leave it there. But before we go, we want to share with you what some of our viewers are saying about last night's topic, the proposed extension of the Legacy Trail. Sarasota County is working to expand the trail 7.5 miles from Palmer Ranch into downtown Sarasota. The land must be purchased by its current owner, CSX Transportation. However, under a loophole in the Federal Rails to Trails Act, the property owners along the right-of-the-way are owed money. Lawyers have already held 7 workshops with this year's residents and say at least 150 people already plan to file suit after the county buys the land. Here is what some of you are saying. Patrick McCarthy writes, if people were smart, they would keep the property rights, but easy money, you know. Also, I would argue that property values increase with the access to the trails. All this post is doing is driving business to these lawyers. Rosanna Lawich writes, I would never buy a property that is adjacent to the Legacy Trail. I do not see it as a plus. Close proximity maybe, but not in my backyard. And Bob Firth writes, in principle, I agree on building out Legacy Trail, but we in Sarasota County have to look at our priorities. We as a county are spending millions of dollars with the Braves' new spring training home with no way of getting there. River Road is an evacuation route for most of South County. If Sarasota has millions to improve a northern transportation corridor, it needs to be spent on improving River Road first. So what do you think about roundabouts? What do you want to see more of them built on the Suncoast? Join the conversation by visiting our Facebook page at facebook.com/news7. And FYI, you can watch past discussions on demand. They're available on Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and Roku. Thanks to both our guests for being here tonight. Dave Hutchinson is Executive Director of the Sarasota Manatee Metropolitan Planning Organization, and Norm Schimmel is Chairman of Sarasota's Public Arts Committee. When we return, we'll have the Department of Labor is putting in new fiduciary rules into effect. Find out what it means for you and financial advisors, plus a former Florida police officer gets into a tense standoff with deputies. We'll have the details in our primetime headlines.
Are you Goodwill?
Yes, because when I donate
or shop at Goodwill,
I'm creating a job.
I am Goodwill, yeah.
Are you paying too much for your cable or satellite TV? The U.S. government passed a bill mandating free over-the-air digital transmission of all broadcast network television channels. That means with the new TV Freeway digital antenna, you can get free HD programming from your favorite broadcast networks 24/7 without a bill. You just plug it into the back of your TV and start watching all of your favorite broadcast programs for free. There are no contracts to sign, no hidden fees, and no monthly fees. Just free HD broadcast TV. Take it with you anywhere. Call or go online now to get your TV Freeway stick for the incredibly low price of only $14.99. But wait, call or click now and you can get a second TV freeway stick for a second TV. Just pay a separate fee, but you have to order right now.
Call 1-800-809-5196 to get your TV Freeway. Call now or go to tvfreeway.com. So call 1-800-809-5196. This offer's not in any store. Call now.
Tomorrow at 5 on ABC7's Good Morning Suncoast.
Hi, I'm Ray Collins.
And I'm Jacqueline Matter. The Sarasota National Cemetery is hosting one of several local ceremonies planned to honor the birth of our nation's flag.
We'll tell you where else you can celebrate the flag tomorrow on Good Morning Suncoast. John?
We've seen a lot of pretty good storms lately. Some people would like to see a lot more sun. We'll talk about the chances coming up bright and early.
Tomorrow at 5 on ABC7's Good Morning Suncoast. We're here for you. Tomorrow at 5 on ABC7, your Suncoast News.
Some surprisingly good news on extremely premature babies in the next Health Smart.
Tomorrow at 5 on ABC7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
Welcome back. Are you saving for retirement? Maybe you have a 401k plan, so you want to pay attention. Last week, the Department of Labor put the fiduciary rule into effect. It creates new protections for consumers, putting the client's interests over those of financial advisors. And here to explain what this means for you is ABC7 business commentator Richard Stern. Richard, you're not a fan of this.
Not at all. I'm frankly offended by it. I've been in the investment business for 41 years, and I have to tell you that if you put your own interests ahead of your clients, you're not going to be in the business for very long. I'm offended by the insinuation of it. I think it's unfortunate because I think the people who need the most help, frankly, are going to get the least help as a result of it.
Correct me if I'm wrong, at least part of the rationale for this was the Bernie Madoff affair, where a lot of Americans, a lot of them wealthier Americans, lost a tremendous amount of money because there was no legal responsibility on people like Bernie Madoff to make sure that their clients were well served.
I think that's possible, but I think a bigger picture is that people have to look at what accounts are these affected by. They're only affected by IRAs and 401ks. So if you had purchased investments, and I use that in quotes, from Bernie Madoff in your IRA, clearly the new rule will address that. As a fiduciary, the answer is you would never have done that. But at the same time, if you have a joint account with your wife, with me, and I were Bernie Madoff and I told you that you should invest in this, it's an entirely different game because retirement accounts are affected by the fiduciary rule. All other accounts are still done on what we call suitability, which has been the standard throughout my career.
All right, explain for a moment the difference between fiduciary responsibility and suitability.
I'll do my best to tell you at least what the Department of Labor says. A fiduciary must put the goals of his client ahead of his own wishes. Suitability says I need to know my client's age, I need to know their net worth, I need to know their income, I need to know all things about them, and then if I make a recommendation which is suitable for everything I know, that is the standard. Now with the IRAs, it's a higher standard because a fiduciary clearly is at a higher level, but what you have again are two standards for the same client.
In some ways, in some measures, can't this protect you? Because we went through the Great Recession not all that long ago, where a lot of financial advisors, came under criticism and wrath from retirees and people heading towards retirement who lost a tremendous amount of money and wanted to blame someone.
Sure. Well, I think that's human nature, but I think the reality is you still have to look at what you're dealing with. You're dealing with the retirement accounts only, and they can be impacted, but the fiduciary rule is going to hurt the small investor because the small investor is going to come to someone like myself, and now that I've got a totally different level of responsibility as a fiduciary, I'm going to say, I'd love to help you, but you really should call that 800 number because they're going to be able to help you because I don't want the liability of that. I'm more than happy to work with qualified, high-quality accounts, but what we're going to find is that person in the middle who's got a little bit of retirement savings is not going to get help from a traditional financial advisor.
In 30 seconds, can you explain how this changes in terms of your daily routine, what you have to do, and also those who do business with you who
Sure.
do have those moderate retirement accounts?
Well, when we have accounts, we certainly are not going to throw them away. We have clients that we've had relationships with for years, but the problem again comes back to the smaller investor who simply is going to have to deal with Fidelity or Vanguard or any one of those possible Schwab, whatever it may be, because they will do it cheaper, which is the goal really of the fiduciary rule, to cut down the expenses, but at the same time, you're never going to get any input.
Okay.
Never.
We'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us. Richard Stern is the business commentator for ABC7 News. He joins us every other week for a look at finances and the market. Your primetime headlines are coming up right after this break.
I'm calling in regards about my mother, and I'm here, and I just want to thank you because it saved my mother's life yesterday. And I'd like to know the names of the people that came in and saved her. It's a wonderful thing. Thank you.
With Life Alert, one touch of a button can get you help fast.
For a free Life Alert brochure, call 1-800-962-4112. That's 1-800-962-4112. Call now, 1-800-962-4112.
What's a nice Jewish girl to do when she can't introduce her WASP boyfriend to her conservative parents? Hire an actor. Hilarious and insightful, Bo Jest is at the Player Center June 14th through the 25th, and it's your ticket to a sizzling summer. Call the Players at 365-2494 or visit theplayers.org. Don't miss Bo Jest.
We asked you, Suncoast, why do you like ABC7?
I like ABC7 because it's local.
It gives me all the local news. The local news, local weather.
It's so local and so community-driven.
Haley Wilgus does a great job.
John Scalzi, that's my guy.
Bob Harrigan is wonderful. Stephanie's my favorite.
I like Scott Dennis.
I like them all.
We're all very grateful that you cover what you do and you're here to participate with the community.
ABC7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
Just go do it. Go do it.
If you're not in control, then who is? Live above the influence.
You might feel like there's too many problems in the world, or that, you as a 15-year-old, 16-year-old can't really make a difference.
It's not always about you. It's not just one person. It's a group. It's a team.
Just that simple act is transforming someone else's life.
It's one of the best feelings in the world.
It'll just make you feel so good about yourself.
I'd do anything to convince you just to be a part of this.
Now for your primetime headlines. Another big day on Capitol Hill as Attorney General Jeff Sessions answered questions on the Russia investigation and the firing of FBI Director James Comey. Also testifying, Deputy AG Rod Rosenstein, who says no one could get him to fire Special Counsel Robert Mueller without cause. ABC's Lana Zach is at the Capitol.
I do. Please be seated.
An opportunity to set the record straight.
I recuse myself from any investigation into the campaign for president, but I did not recuse myself from defending my honor against scurrilous and false allegations.
Attorney General Jeff Sessions testifying before the Senate Intelligence Committee. Among the tough topics, questions about Russia, including his own meetings with Russian Ambassador Sergei Kislyak.
The suggestion that I participated in any collusion, that I was aware of any collusion with the Russian government to hurt this country is an appalling and detestable lie.
Sessions was also grilled about his recusal on Russia and his role in the firing of FBI Director James Comey.
Mr. Comey said that there were matters with respect to the recusal that were problematic and he couldn't talk about them. What are they?
Why don't you tell me? There are none, Senator Wyden. There are none. I can tell you that for absolute certainty.
Meanwhile, at the White House,
Thank you very much.
The president declined to dispute the comments of one of his longtime friends who said that President Trump is considering asking for the firing of Special Counsel Robert Mueller. But Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein, the one person who could fire Mueller, testified that the White House was not going to make that call.
If there were a good cause, I would consider it. If there were not good cause, it wouldn't matter to me what anybody says.
Part of that investigation, of course, will involve the notes and memos of James Comey. We learned today that they have all been surrendered to the FBI. Now, senators here have expressed an interest in reviewing them, and they say they have not yet ruled out the option of a subpoena. Reporting from the Capitol, Lana Zach, ABC News.
Now to North Korea, where an American college student is on his way back home after being imprisoned for 17 months. Otto Warmbier was sentenced to 15 years of hard labor for trying to steal a propaganda banner from his hotel. We now know he went into a coma shortly after the trial. The State Department confirms it secured his release. 3 other Americans remain under detention in the country. The release comes just before former NBA star Dennis Rodman arrived in North Korea. A publicist says his goal is to create a dialogue between the two nations. Now to a developing story out of Putnam County, Georgia. A manhunt is underway tonight for 2 inmates who killed 2 correctional officers. Georgia's Department of Corrections is identifying the men as 24-year-old Ricky Dubois and 43-year-old Donnie Rowe. Officials say the men overpowered the officers this morning while being transported and then stole a dark green Honda Civic. Authorities warn both men are armed and dangerous. Now to Brevard County, where the sheriff's office is investigating a horrific triple murder. Deputies say Tony Hughes allegedly set his Malabar home on fire after killing his wife, sister-in-law, and 9-year-old son. According to deputies, Hughes then got onto a boat and sailed out past a nearby inlet where he took his own life.
Terrible thing. I would hate to be a parent or relative of this child and have this news delivered to me that my relative died in this manner.
Witnesses told deputies they were aware of domestic violence issues. The investigation continues. A former police officer is now in custody after a standoff with deputies in Fort Pierce. According to investigators, it happened yesterday after the former officer's girlfriend called 911. Deputies say the man barricaded himself in the pickup truck and threatened to harm himself. After hours of tense negotiations, he came out with his hands up.
He was going through a lot of personal things in his life, and I told him I know what that feels like. We all know the pain that sometimes can affect these law enforcement officers, and I said, we're all one big family. We're here to take care of you, and he kind of just felt relieved that it was all over.
The sheriff says the next step is getting the man help. He has not been identified. Florida Fish and Wildlife reports yet another endangered Florida panther has died. This is the 14th killed so far this year. 10 of the deaths were caused by car accidents. Only around 230 panthers remain in the wild. Wildlife officials are planning a necropsy to determine the cause of death. And that's all the time we have for this evening. I'm Alan Cohn. Thanks for joining us, and have a great night.